Hi, it's been a while. That's because I've been busy with this. But before we talk about what this is, let's simplify the world a bit and talk about drawing. There are two main approaches to drawing. You have observational drawing and you have constructional drawing. In observational drawing, you're basically looking at an object or a still life or a photograph or something like that, trying to turn a 3D object into a 2D plane. And you're using angles and measuring. Now, this is often seen in sort of the traditional atelier style schools, and they often use methods like sight size or comparative measurements to try to observe and get your thing onto your paper or canvas. And I think another method would probably be like using a grid or something like that. And we focus a lot on what we actually see and just try to capture that, and maybe not as much on like what it is we're seeing and why it looks the way it does, how does it work, things like that. We basically just train our eyes and just, what is it I'm actually seeing there? Okay, I'm seeing that angle. I don't care why, but I'm gonna draw it that angle, because that's what's there. And I think bar drawings are a great example of that. Trying to simplify shapes and angles, and then you refine it until you have something that looks like this. And it lets you focus more on maybe value relationships, rendering, brushwork, color. And there's plenty of great artists throughout history who have used this method. But there's a limitation here. Now, if you don't have the reference in front of you, or a photograph of it, how would you draw it? And if you want to change something, you might feel kind of stuck, because you can only draw what you can observe and what's right in front of you. So if you want to change the pose or the angle or anything else, you're pretty limited. And this brings us to constructional drawing. Instead of just copying, you're focusing more on the underlying forms and trying to understand what you're actually drawing and sort of how they relate to each other. So instead of just observing, we're looking at the object and we're trying to simplify it into basic shapes like spheres, rectangles, boxes, cylinders and things like that, and mix them together and how they relate to each other in perspective. And once we have that down, we can start to add even more smaller basic shapes and get into the smaller details, and we actually have the thing, right? Now, constructional drawing requires a much deeper understanding of concepts like perspective, gesture and anatomy, and light and rendering. And it also demands a much larger visual library, since if we want to make stuff up, we need to have a lot of stuff in our brain that we can draw from. So you basically need to do a lot of studies. A lot. And that's how we get better at drawing things from imagination or just making stuff up so we can fulfill our creative vision. Now, the beauty of constructional drawing is that you don't always need a reference. You can make things up, you can rotate things in space if you know the basic shapes it's made of or forms. You can essentially start to play around with it. And we're not as bound to our reference as we are maybe in observational drawing. And basically create something new and still make it kind of believable. But it's a lot harder. However, it gives you more freedom. And it might seem like these two are very opposite to each other, and I guess they are in a sense. But I would imagine that to be a well-rounded artist or painter, you kind of need a bit of both. And the more you can combine the two, you will have a much easier time to create whatever your mind's eye sees, right? That brings me back to this pile. So over the past few years drawing and painting, I have realized that one major limitation in my own work is constructional drawing, or even drawing things from imagination. So if you ask me to draw a frog, I will probably do a very bad job at it, which is kind of sad because I love frogs and I would like to be able to draw frogs. I've mainly been studying observational drawing and painted a lot of still lifes and portraits and things. And I've learned a lot. But after doing 100 portraits, you're sort of bound to learn a few things. But you don't necessarily know exactly what it is you've learned. You just know that, well, usually the cheekbone, has a thing there, shadow there, and blah blah blah. if I want to create more freely, I need to learn more. So I did a bunch of research. I googled like a whole weekend basically, and I found 2 resources that I'm going to use to help me on this journey. And the first one is New Masters Academy. So New Masters Academy is an online art school with a ton of courses. You can take the courses individually if you want, but they also have sort of tracks. So you can decide that you want to go with the illustration track, and they recommend a few courses for you in an order. Or you can go with portraits or entertainment design. And I think what drew me in to New Masters Academy is that each course and each week, because they split the courses in weeks, have assignments attached to them, which adds accountability and a good way to reiterate what it is the teacher said and things like that. So it's not only looking at tutorials and sort of, okay, I know this now, because that's not how life works. We need to practice what the teacher says. So yeah, that drew me in. And they also have some amazing teachers. We have Wilpu doing some gesture and anatomy. We have Steve Houston also doing some gesture and anatomy, and plenty more. And I think the biggest course, just as an example, is a perspective course by Eric Olson. I think it spans like 111 hours of lectures, which is insane. And I don't think I will go through that one just yet. I also found this Reddit post by someone called Radio Runner, who took the Mark Brunett's online art school curriculum basically and made a paid and free version of it. So it's set out in terms, one term being a few blocks and each block being a month of work. So you could go with the paid version, and he also recommends free videos and stuff on YouTube. So it is tutorials, yes, but there are sort of assignments and challenges associated with each block as well. So what I kind of did was that I combined these two into my own curriculum. I feel like I have a lot of good stuff that I already know, which will make it easier for me to just add on top. I know how to draw, but I might not know perspective, but it means that I can skip some things from New Masters Academy that are just like basic drawing skills. And yeah, the whole plan is like for 2.5 years, I think. So to kick things off, I started with gesture drawing and just some basic, not even anatomy, but more like proportional stuff with Steve Houston, which was a great course. And I'll do a separate review of New Masters Academy later when I've gone through more of it. But basically started with a lot of gesture drawing. And then I went into Drawabox, so I did a few Drawabox lessons. And for those who don't know, Drawabox is sort of a crash course into constructional drawing. They have some infamous challenges like draw 250 boxes in perspective and 250 cylinders in perspective. And it's all done with ink or pen, so there's no room for, like, you just have to commit to the line. And there's techniques for that, sort of how to, you ghost it a few times and then you just go for it. But yeah, that's been a lot of fun and also very challenging. It sounds easy to draw a box, but when you really focus and try to draw that box in perspective as well as you can, it takes time. Like one of these pages, I'll just show you, because these are 250 boxes then, like here. Like one page, that's 20 minutes. No joke. This took me 20 minutes to draw. And that's because you do the boxes and you sort of imagine the, sorry, I'm doing a poor job of holding this up. You're imagining the vanishing points because they're off page, and you draw the box, and then you draw another box, and then yeah, about like 5 or 6 on each page. I think I went with 5 as standard, and then you correct it. So you take like a pen, a red pen or a blue one or something, another color than black. and then you correct, you see where all the vanishing points are, and if it's actually going to the vanishing points, all the lines, right? And just correcting takes a long time. And then you look at it and like go, oh, I did a poor job there. Why? And you try to like understand why you did that and how you could do better next time. And then you do it again. So this takes way longer, and it takes a lot more focus than you might think. And I think since I've done bark drawings and things like that before, which is a similar mindset, like there is no good enough. Like you gotta make it as absolutely perfect. Each line, when you think about it, when you try it to draw it, you need to just really focus and really try to make it as best as you can. Because that's the only way to train your eyes and your brain. Like, if you make the best attempt at it that you can, like this is what I, in my heart, believe is right, and then you correct it, you see that it should be like slightly more angled or something like that. Then next time you're actually going to make it better. Trust me, you're making it better. So after doing 250 boxes, I'm not sure how long I spent on it. 2 weeks, I think. But that's basically almost the only thing I did, plus gesture drawings. Yeah, I felt like that my confidence in my line work improved a lot, and my intuition for perspective and drawing boxes was, yeah, vastly improved. I'm far from perfect. I still have trouble with it, and I have to concentrate a lot. It's not like I'm easily drawing boxes in perspective now, but my intuition is a lot better. Then I did cylinders, which was way harder. Like, holy shit, it was so hard. It got a bit easier when I could draw cylinders within a box, so you construct a box in perspective, so a bit of this, and then you draw the cylinder within that. But it's still hard, and I did a pretty poor job, actually, I would say. I mean, the best I could, but yeah, it was not easy. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the other Drawabox challenges, which I will do later. And along with these challenges, there's also lessons. So you don't only do the challenges, you do the lessons as well. And they were actually a lot of fun. Let me show you here. You draw some organic shapes like this. And you think about sort of how the form turns, and try to show that. And then what you get to do is you get to use that, and you actually can add some textures to these as well. And you try to get the texture to actually be, you know, following the form and stuff, which is not easy, but it's a lot of fun. And I think like this exercise in particular really pushed me into sort of not being perfect, or sort of going with the errors and just trying stuff out, because it's also done with pen and ink, or like ink, right? So you just commit, and if you screw up, you just have to go with it. Like, okay, I screwed up, like how can I fix it, or can I just, you know. And then you progress into drawing like intersecting forms, which was that was super hard. Like that was really hard. Intersecting form. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of fun. It looks kind of cool, but I think they look pretty cool. And yeah, this was a brain workout. Whew. A lot of fun, but really hard. Another lesson was basically drawing a few pages of things like fruits or I don't know, plants and things like that, and try to think about the underlying forms, and also drawing the underlying forms and how they turn and things like that in perspective. Then it started to click a bit for me that it's not about actually observing the pomegranate, it's more about looking at the pomegranate and understanding that it is a sphere, but is something weird with the sphere. It's like turning weirdly there, and yeah. So it's a lot more thinking like that than just drawing what you see, which is great. And yeah, I'm babbling on. That's where I'm at right now. I'm diving into this new chapter of learning and pushing my skills, and that's why the videos have been lacking, and I haven't actually been painting that much. I'm trying to focus on getting better, and we'll see where that leads me. And it's not going to be easy, but it's exciting. It's exciting to learn more. I'm looking forward to start using these skills that I'm picking up now and doing some proper work later on. And I'll be going into more depth into Drawabox and New Masters Academy once I've gone through more of it. I really appreciate you watching this video. Yes, you. Thanks. And yeah, you like my new shirt? I mean, we gotta celebrate the new year, right? And yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.